Oh, you like tangerine in this club tonight. Red wine and monster in this place tonight. We're gonna tear up this gig right now. So let's enjoy the passing time. You want me? You like that? Come closer, let's have a fancy. You know you want me, you know you like that. You are my Romeo, I am your Juliet. Push back the bumper on it, jump back the bumper on it, down back the bumper on it, roll it, roll it. Push back the bumper on it, jump back the bumper on it, wind back the bumper on it. Roll it, roll it. I like it, I want it. Oh baby, feel me. I have the remedy to make you go crazy. Oh baby, you like that? Feel me.
In the year 1493, Christopher Columbus came. He saw a huge mass of land. It was green, so high and untamed. It was Sunday, a lovely day, and blue as the sea and sky. We named this new land Dominica, after our Lord said he cried. Non è bella, non è quattro, non è gente che fa senza pochi, me ne come tu risole, tu me ne pilacia, e papite io può darmi quadro, papite io può darmi quadro. At first spirits were not friendly, they chased strangers away. For a long time this land was theirs, for no one else wanted to stay. But now today we can be free, and the land belongs to all. We'll make all land a happy tree, and all will be welcome to all. Non è gente che fa cosa si può, me ne come tu risule, tu me ne pilacia. Mi papite un po' d'amico tu, papite un po' d'amico tu. When the British heard of this place, they came to settle him. They brought Africans to our soil, the Caribs were to stay with them. French people got to know of the land, so they came with a mind and will. So the British won back the land, the French countries held with us. Non è bella, non è forte, non è gente che sta sul corpo, ed è come tu risuli, come le pilasa, e pakite un po' d'amico tu, pakite un po' d'amico tu.
Yes, good evening. Welcome to the ERC Electoral Reform Coalition radio program this evening here on the big station Q95 FM radio right here in the city of Roseau. We were here throughout the month of June, Saturdays throughout the month of June, and we're here tonight. Tonight is the 6th day of the month of July in the year 2024. And we're here and we want to say good evening to you wherever you are in Dominica, the Caribbean, and the world, listening to the number one big station here on island. So good evening to you and welcome. Tonight we'll discuss with you our program for tomorrow. You know, tomorrow we're having the People's Parliament, and of course, we invite you all over Dominica to turn out tomorrow. In Roseau, you'll hear from the number of speakers who will speak to you on the issues. And of course, we'll move a motion when we read to you the what we call the people's legislation that should go to our parliament here. And of course, the people will approve. And this will be presented to the authorities. So good evening, welcome, and glad to have you on board. Tonight, it's a wonderful Saturday night. And we want to say thank you indeed for being with us. And we always appreciate you and, of course, your involvement with the ERC and, of course, what is happening in our beloved country, Dominica. So again, I say good evening and welcome.
In the year 1493, Christopher Columbus came. He saw a huge mass of land. It was green, so high and dim. It was Sunday, a lovely day, and blue as the sea and sky. We named this new land Dominica. After all, Lord said he cried. Non è bella, non è quattro, non è gente che fa sempre pochi, e le come tu risuli, tu me ne pilacia. Il battite io può darmi quattro, battite io può darmi quattro.
Of course, good evening again. And of course, we're here. We want to say welcome to Ken Vital, who's already online. And in studio with me now is Glenroy Coffee, the man so for Rousseau. Shall we match? So for Rousseau. And so a particular guy would say so for Rousseau. So let's say hello, Kent, and welcome. Glad to have you. And let's say good evening.
Yes. Hello, Bosso, and so for Rozo. Praise God. It's all systems go. We have been working hard around the clock to ensure that the people's voice would be heard loud and clear. So we are very anxious. We are waiting patiently for tomorrow. We know the word has been going around. We know people are listening and people are waiting and people are coming. Because as a people, we've got to let our voices be heard loud and clear by our numbers tomorrow, very loud and clear. Let our voices be heard. So we are just excited for a new day for Dominica. We know our country, you can almost say we are a failed state. And I'm not saying that lightly, but we know a new day is coming. But for that new day to come, we must all stand up and be counted. All of us must raise our voices. All of us must begin to say, we've got to fix this. We've got to put things in place. We've got to make our voices heard. And we want to speak so loud that the government has no choice but to listen. We want them to understand that we have been speaking all along. Many people have been speaking. Many people have been calling on the government, not just from those of us here in Dominica, but also from even the independent persons who have come and who have said, look, this is not right, from the CCG and all of that. We have, so voices have been heard, but it seems like they're falling on deaf ear. So we're going to speak very loud tomorrow once again. And there will be a process that follows that in terms of delivering that message from the people to the government. So we have been working hard on that, and we are thankful that the people are going to support. Many persons have been contributing, have been supporting financially, and we appreciate that so very much. And we continue on this program to ask you to continue to contribute, because not just this event on Sunday, but other events to follow will need your support. So we're just so grateful for you and grateful for Dominica. And we have hope that our country is going to turn around. We have that hope. We have to have that hope. And we're going to do everything in our power, everything that's morally right, to make our country right again. All right, boss, over to you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much. Let's give you a little ad based on what Kent just said to you there.
Enough is enough. The game is over. After paying Sir Dennis Byron hundreds of thousands of dollars, Roosevelt Skerritt is omitting Sir Dennis Byron's report and recommendations with his fake legislation that makes Dominica a laughingstock in the Commonwealth of Nations. Sunday, July 7th, is the People's Parliament. The people speak at the Arch in Roseau. Be there. Enough is enough. 4 p.m. Sunday.
As you heard, be there Sunday, tomorrow, the 7th day of the month of July 2024. And I said to you, we will be on People's Parliament. A number of speakers will speak there. And of course, we'll move what we call the real legislation, electoral reform legislation to go to the Parliament of Dominica. Let's say good evening to the man Soso for Roseau. So good evening and welcome.
Yes, Bosso, good evening to you and good evening to Ken. Mr. Vital, I heard you and I heard your appeal, and like you, I want to appeal to the many Dominicans across Dominica and even those who listen via other media, and that we actually soliciting the support for this grand gathering at the Arch tomorrow, because it is important that we recognize that this work is not being done for us, but it's for everybody. And at the end of the exercise, Dominicans will benefit. So this collaborative effort by the ERC and the other organizations, non-political organizations, as well as organized and political organizations, we are doing this thing in an effort to rescue Dominica's democracy, because we cannot be living in a state of affairs where we feel people do what they want. We are a country governed by laws and we have to abide with laws. And so, to the many persons listening, you've been hearing over the past couple of weeks the efforts, and you've been hearing about the famous Sunday, the 7th of July. There it is tomorrow, gathering by the Arch, concerning about electoral reform, the People's Parliament. And so, you'll be hearing more about that as we go through, but we just want to let you know that we are out there soliciting your support, both spiritual, both monetary, and while we're saying that, we have got to bless your finances. We know that you work hard for it, and we ask him to give you double and triple or even quadruple the amount that you give. So let me just say good night to you, boss, and good night to Ken.
Yeah. Good night, yes.
So, good night. And of course, we're here, as I said, during the Saturdays during the month of June, and we did make an appeal to you to assist us to get this thing going. And Ken made the point earlier on, it's not only for tomorrow, because we want to sustain this movement, we want to sustain the activities and bring to the attention of our people all over the country and those overseas that we really serious about this matter. So we are calling on you to assist us. And tonight, those of you who are in Dominica and who want to contribute can, of course, call me at 276-0387. Of course, Soso, you'll give them your number.
Yes, 245-2858. You could do so, or WhatsApp.
Yes. And Kent?
Yes, 265-9450.
Of course, and we have Paula, Celestine, and many others who are part of the ERC, Washburn Coffee, and you can also make the contribution to them. You can also contribute at the UWP office. Well, we'll be closed tonight and tomorrow, but any person there, you can contribute to them, and they will get it on to us. You can also contribute to the Rosa Packs, and you'll get it to us. You can contribute to the Walkers. You'll get it to us. You can contribute to the PSU. You can contribute it to us. You can contribute to CCM. They'll get it onto us. You can contribute to Civic Vibes, Love to Zero and the guys, and you'll get it to us, and so forth. So you contribute to all of us who are part of this movement, and we'll get it. And those of you overseas, you can go to Nick Cliff website and do that. It's www.nidclf.org. So you can go there and put whatever you have. We are not asking you for, I mean, if you want to give us $1 million,
we would be happy.
We're happy. But we know those days money is a tight.
Yes.
Therefore, you may not be able to do as much as you did in the past.
Right.
We want to thank those who have already contributed, and we have picked up quite a few of that. And those who made pledges, we want to appeal to you to meet us and get that settled, because the action is tomorrow. And soon after that, you have to settle the guys, because it has some, costs that tie into it.
And also, when at the gathering itself, the $1, $2 doesn't hurt,
Yes.
It doesn't hurt to put in a box and
we will pass the box.
Right.
And somebody mentioned Blue Blue.
Yeah. Oh, Blue Blue is that.
He's famous on that.
Blue Blue does that well.
Yes, so we mentioned Blue Blue and her team. And Blue Blue, we have not called you yet, but I know we're calling your name before we call you.
When they see Blue Blue on the box, they know what.
Yes, but there's a saying: once a soul there, always
a
a soul
soul
there.
there.
So we always appreciate that. So tonight we just want to appeal to you again to please contribute to the effort, because what we're doing here is very noble effort, and by us who are Dominicans who want good for our beloved country. Let's do another ad.
Sunday, July 7th is the People's Parliament at the Arch in Roseau. The people of Dominica will decide on the people's electoral legislation, campaign financing, cleansing of the voters list, voter ID cards, and Dominica residency. These must be properly addressed in any electoral legislation. Sunday, July 7th. Be there. The people will speak.
Yes, be there. Kent will be the Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
The Speaker of the House.
We need a good speaker, yeah?
The good speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. And and the many good speakers who will speak tomorrow. Good speakers. And there's some persons who will bring constituency solidarity. Yes, Kent, you were saying?
No, I mean, I was just laughing and making a joke out of it, but it's a story state that we have to apply the word good before speaker. Because of the exact speaker is supposed to be good, by the definition of the role. You're supposed to have good people in there. But
that is true.
Over the past 2 terms, it has been messed up.
Yeah.
So you have to specify now.
Good speaker. In other words, remember Calypso had a song about the VA speaker?
The best speaker.
So we're not talking about that. We're talking about the good speaker.
The good speaker, yes.
And we have the potential here, to have good speakers here.
Right.
We've had good speakers before.
Yes.
We've had some very good speakers.
Oh, yes.
Lever Edwards.
Mary Davis Spear. Oh, yes.
We could mention Crispin Sorrento.
The White lady, Jennifer White.
Jennifer White was clerk of the house.
Clerk of the house.
Did a fantastic job.
Right.
We had Ozzy Sims and so on.
Right.
We had some good speakers. We're not perfect human beings.
Right.
But of course, we have to do our utmost to do the right thing.
And interestingly, when you talk about speakers, when you see these people perform their duties in the house, you don't even know where they are.
Where they are.
You don't even know where they are. They just know they're executing based on what the Constitution says. And they go through it.
I remember PS, he's a retired PS now.
Yeah.
She came to the parliament in a green dress. And this is Michael Douglas say, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying, I don't want to call it person's name here.
Right.
But I'm saying so-and-so sitting in the PS's chair.
Sure, right.
With a green dress. She came there to provoke me. And he made a joke out of it. She came to provoke me.
Yes.
And then the speaker said, you ought not to bring people who are not members of the House into the debate,
right,
because they cannot defend themselves and so on. So the following day, that particular PS gave a red dress. And Michael said nothing. When the House took a little break, we went out there, all of us, because in those days you had civility in politics and in parliament and so on. We disagreed on issues, on certain policies, but humanity and so on existed. And then she said, Mike, yesterday I came with a green dress and you saw me and made remark. To them in a red dress, you made no remark. He said, today you're on my side. On my side. So these were good days we had in our parliament and so on. Now, we have a parliament that you may have the speaker sit down in a kind of a vexy way and so on, because his mind is tied in to the partisan and so on. I made a point on another radio that on another program, same radio on another program, and said the Attorney General in St. Vincent will not take part in the debate.
Right.
He come into the House as a public servant in an advisory capacity to the government and the parliament. And when you say the parliament, it's not government, it's government and opposition, and then the country. And then he don't take no part in the debate. He has nothing to say in the debate. He just have to advise on the law. In our case here, our guy is more interested in advising on the partisan politics.
That is correct.
Rather than the law and so on. So again, we're appealing to you to assist us. If you have your vehicle and you're coming, try to give a person a ride, do carpooling and so on, so we can get people there, because we do not have spot money. We do not have all those kind of money to say, here you are, and so on. When we're able, we can do that.
Right.
But we have to pull together as citizens to be able to make things work in our interests. And as I said earlier on, there's going to be a sustained movement, and we are going to focus on the things that are interested, important to our country. And the ERC is not a political party.
Exactly.
It's a pooling of different groups, political and civil society groups and so on together
Right.
to add one voice
Add one voice.
to the things that are crucial and important. But every group will do their own individual work to promote themselves and their party, and that is fine and so forth. But electoral reform is a key part of what we're doing because we have been on this road so for quite a while.
Oh yes, and it's a national issue. It has been topical for good years now. And what we are saying is that basic things that we ought to do and to conduct ourselves. We're not supposed to be even in studios right now talking about electoral reform and the people's parliament to get the people to demand what they want. I mean, if you had a government with a mind or in serving the interests of the people, I mean, the work could have been done. You have engaged an individual paying tax money. That is the people's money. And so recommendations were made, and then you just take you all of a sudden the recommendations meant nothing to you, and you just put some of them in a dumpster and doesn't agree what you want. No. The person has been contracted, government money was paid to the person, and so we ought to have the reform that we call for. And so, Ken, it's interesting that we should not be even here tonight, Ken. You agree or disagree?
I definitely agree with you, man. When you said that, it just got me thinking. We are really not supposed to be here because the work was done by our forefathers. And but got me thinking, and earlier on we were talking about civility, and we have to ask, why isn't there civility now as there was before? And you know what it leads me to? Every time we have that discussion, that's what it leads me to. When guys like Mike and Mary Virginia and so on were in the house, they may have had differences on strategy. They may have had differences on political philosophy or economic strategy or philosophy and so on. How do we get the country going? Do we have government provide housing, or do we give another side by saying no, we give people jobs and they provide their own housing? We had those kinds of discussions, and we had differences in parties, left of center and right of center. That's what really the difference. And when you have those kind of differences, there's no need to not to be civil, right? Because you're just allowing ideas to contend, and that's why, even if our laws are not perfect, the loopholes are not exploited. There was no reason to. There was just. So why are the loopholes being exploited that much? Why have civility gone out of the window? I think it's because rather than persons having differences just based on philosophy or based on differences in strategies and so on, it has gotten now to a point where these guys, some of these people may have, I would say they have captured government for their own personal interests. Mm-hmm. And some people may say, and I can only conclude, they have gotten into a place where they have to protect that personal interest. Whether they have misappropriated monies or stolen monies or whatever they may have done, they have gotten to that place where they feel compelled to protect that with their very life. And right. Therefore, there is no room for civility. And I would dare say that happens on one side. I mean, some people talk about hatred, and I don't think it's a matter of hatred on both sides. I think one set of guys have so captured government that they are becoming, as a result of that, they would do anything to protect their back. They would do anything to protect their money. They would do anything. In the process, Dominica suffers. And that's part of the reason why civility have gone out of the window. So here we are again, when we should have gone way past that, when we should be having discussions on how to take our country forward, how to build on our past successes, when we should be having those kinds of differences. We are once again at a place where we are trying to stop guys from being criminal. We are trying to stop guys from being dishonest. We're trying to stop guys from wrecking the country and stealing from the country and stealing from the people and messing up our country. We have gotten to that point, and it's sad. We shouldn't be at that point. We should be at a point where we're talking about how to go to the higher level, how to escape what we call in economics the middle income trap, how to go from producing plenty bananas and agriculture and going into processing and going into high-end tourism and going and trying to get our young people to be educated and to use their education to go into high technology products so that our level of living will rise to that of the developed world. That's the kinds of conversations we should be having now. But we are stuck having to once again prevent criminal behavior. So that is why the civility have gone. So many of us have said, no, we got to stop it. We've got to do something about it. And the way that they ensure that they continue to protect their criminal enterprise, the way they go on to protect their ill-gotten gains, because I have to call it a criminal enterprise because you're really stealing from the people. You are really misappropriating the money. And I have to say, because you cannot account for it, until you can account for it, I would have to say you have stolen the money, unless you can account for it. So we are unfortunately at the point where we've got to try to make this country right so that every one of us can benefit. And there's enough in this country for all of us to benefit. I am very convinced Dominica is gold, so. We we used to call bananas green gold,
No, you're correct. You're correct. I was coming from the barber earlier today, and one guy stopped me and had a short talk with me, and he said, so look, you know what's happening? He saw a certain individual who work with the government passing envelopes in some particular areas. Fair enough, pass the envelope. But what? What are you doing? What is the motive behind that? What is the objective? People have eyes to see. People have ears to hear. They will hear. You're going to stop them to what? To hear the message? You're going to stop them to see what is going on? They are not blind, Those who are receiving the envelopes know what is happening. Exactly. And if the government had the same urgency to respond to the hospital when they say they do not have, certain things to take care of the patients, if they respond in the same vein and in that expeditious manner, I wouldn't mind. But why do you do that and somewhere else is suffering? So you see, I'm agreeing with you right now that the government is not interested in the people, but themselves. And I don't know what the government has to hide. But certainly, you could not be doing what you're doing now for the country. You do it for your self-interest, because what purpose is there to pay somebody not to attend something or prevent them from hearing when they have ears, when they have eyes? Ken, so you're correct.
Definitely. So they resort to bribery. And these are some of the things we want to change. Go ahead, Basil.
And it will change, eh?
It will change. Okay. Dominican, we need our electoral reform. Tell Simba, call the cabinet. Money can just go through it like that.
So I don't know who it's him, but I remember a Calypsonian who now sits with Simbat.
Yes.
Although I don't know who is Simbat. He had called the cabinet Cabinet.
So we match in.
Yes,
so Cabinet now with Simbat.
Yeah.
You should perform your duty. Before we get our reform. We have some election in the interest of one man. But like Egypt, the people need freedom. If you cannot deliver, then give us back our dollars. Stay in your lane. We know you know our country, love to spend the money, sir. Stay in your lane. The people frustrated and tired. Dominicans have taken all they can take. Give us reform before the fall house break.
Yes, tomorrow, Sunday, the 7th day of July, 2024, we'll be on the arch with the People's Parliament. We'll be talking to you about electoral reform, which you have heard about for quite a while. It's more than 14 years we're on this mission. I cannot see why this mission can't be complete, cannot be completed. We could have accomplished that mission because we have what they call a go wash,
A go wash,
Shimela, and so on. So tomorrow, you could call us here tonight, 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. And for those of you overseas, 305-432-9624. So you can call these numbers and, of course, pledge. Those of you abroad and who want to send to Western Union or a MoneyGram,
That's right.
you have my name, you can send, you can furnish you with my details. So as well can do the same. Ken can do the same. And you send it. We have picked up some already
Right.
from these channels, and we're
Right.
very pleased about that. Let me say that we have the cooperation of the police. We apply, we met them, we discuss, and so forth, and we demonstrate the need that for democracy to work,
Right.
there must be a balance. And of course, we the people are always willing to cooperate with the police. And we ask you tomorrow to cooperate with them
That's correct.
and so forth. And we want them to do their duties, not for freedom, not for labor, not for UWP, but to do their duties for Dominica
Right.
and so forth. And once that is the case, they have our total support and so forth. And tomorrow, they will be there assisting in the traffic diversion and, of course, to ensure that things go well in the meeting. Because, mark you may have mischievous makers who may
Right.
want to exploit things. But we're saying we're not going to be involved in any unpleasant behavior or any unpleasant statement. Our statement is good, comprehensive electoral reform in our beloved country. So call us 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, and the overseas line 305-432-9624. And I said earlier on, some persons who made pledges came forward and make that available to us, and we appreciate them for that.
Right.
Always. And there are those who have not yet bring in their pledges. We are calling on you to do that because the event is tomorrow.
Right.
And of course, you want at the end of the event to settle everything. So the speaker is in place, Ken Vital,
And it's
Good
just
speaker.
and the deputy speaker
that's the surprise for the crowd.
for the crowd, of course. And we are so balanced. We do a man speaker and a woman deputy speaker, and so on. So both roles, both
Gender,
gender.
no gender inequality.
Right. And then the members will be the people of Dominica who turn out tomorrow, and we're asking you to come in large numbers.
Yeah.
And then the members of the House who will be speaking will speak to you on matters relating to electoral reform and to make an appeal
Right.
to the government, the Electoral Commission, to do the right thing on behalf of the country. And I've said to people before, we wrote to a number of heads of state and heads of government in the region and further afield and other organizations, and their eyes is on Dominica. And what they have said, they want to make statements and to encourage the government to do the right thing, but they will not interfere until they see the people of Dominica demonstrate that they understand the importance of electoral reform, because elections have consequences.
That's correct.
And it must be conducted free, fair, and transparently.
Yeah, and you're correct, because as you said about the parliament, just as the whole process, and so when the people are going to endorse the submission, and so they will give now the people who participate in the parliament the time now to go into committee stage to get back to them. You get?
Yeah,
So that's how we.
yeah.
So that's the kind of process. But it's so we go. We're unfolding as it goes.
And as you said, so
Yes,
it's a disciplined process,
it's a discipline process.
and we have to show to
Yes.
the world that we understand
Yes,
how good things should be done.
right.
And earlier on, Kent mentioned and ourselves mentioned civility.
Civility. Yeah,
And we must show in our leadership, in our governance, in our readiness to serve this country, we want to serve it professionally,
right.
that everybody will feel equal and nobody will feel they have to get a handout to survive,
Right.
or they have to be pushed in NEP and be waiting days to get paid,
Right.
or they have to be singing the song of a particular group
That's right.
to be involved. It's a thing where humanity must be free, independent, must work, earn, build family, build community, and build country. What do you say about that, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, I certainly agree. I certainly agree. And will
Okay.
be so it's very just to reiterate some of what you said, it's very, very important that we show up in numbers. We are sending a big message. We are saying to the government, this is the kind of legislation we want passed. But we have to say so loudly by our numbers. We are not doing so in any other way. We are not doing so through any kind of violence. We are not doing so through any kind of destruction of property or whatsoever. We are, and numbers are important. They're very, very, very important. Do not underestimate when those in authority understand that there are many of us, the young ones, the older ones, the middle-aged ones, the labor rights, the UWPites, the freedom rights, when they understand, all of us are saying this is not a political matter. This is a matter of free and fair play, a level playing field. When they understand that all of us are interested, when they understand the Christian community, the church community, when they understand the policemen are saying, we are for fairness, we are to uphold the law. So we also are interested in free and fair elections and proper electoral reform. When all of us raise our voices and when they see all of us together, they've got to listen. So, and that is what the seventh is all about. By our presence, we have to get to a point where we are no longer afraid. And I'm saying no longer afraid for those of us who are afraid, especially those from who are labor rights. You know what's the right thing, but we understand the victimization that has happened. We understand that some of you are afraid of your jobs, losing your jobs or losing promotion. We understand what has happened. Even some of the houses that some of you may have gotten, you don't even have or how do they call it,
Title.
titles
Right.
for it. So we understand that you're under a lot of fear. But I want to say to you, when all of us decide no more, when all of us decide to stand and all of us decide to speak and be counted, they cannot target you anymore because they have to target everybody. So we want to say to you, numbers are very, very important. So come out and show up, and we will deliver this to the government. And we will also be taking the message to the rest of the region. We have already started, Bosso mentioned, we have started to, and we have sent out letters, but we also, in other ways, will be very soon taking the message to the rest of the region because the rest of the region must understand and know. They must not have one side of the story. They must understand what's going on in Dominica. We have to do our part. We cannot leave it to them. They wouldn't come and do it for us, but we can, they can work with us. They can exert the influence that they can exert in their spheres. So when they're in the heads of government meetings, when they're in their various meetings, they can exert whatever influence they can. But we are going to also take the message to the region. So, but we have to do our share here, and it's very important that we all stand up and be counted. It's very important. So we are counting on everyone. Sure, show
Yes,
up on the 7th.
certainly. And I read in here
Yeah, yeah,
from the
yeah. So we have a
that,
call.
no problem.
Hold
Yes.
on. Hello, good evening.
Yes, Boso, good evening.
And how are you?
Boso, I am good. I am optimistic that the people will turn out tomorrow, Boso. Because Boso, people are hurting, man. People know this is not a political game. This is something concerning the country. Our democracy is at stake, man, Boso. But I really call to say something, Boso. I never be long. I do not know the speaker of yours. I heard you talking about speaker there, and I just remember that, Boso. I do not know the speaker of yours. I met him one time in Tortola when Mr. Lincoln was going around educating people about something.
Which speaker are you talking about?
But I have never met him again. But
Yep.
I see my bed sleeping a few nights ago, Boso.
Mm-hmm.
And I dreamt that I met with Mr. Joseph Isaac. I call his name. That's a dream. And I'm asking him, Mr. Joseph Isaac, what is your take on what the Prime Minister wants to do? And the man told me, at this time, my stomach hurting. So I do not know what I mean, but he told me in the dream, at this time, my stomach is hurting. Thank you. Thank
Oh
you,
my
both.
God.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, overseas line 305-432-9624. Is there a caller?
No,
But
no.
while we're saying that, somebody's on stream saying that, we have been doing things and, the people will not stand for one day and we have to be consistent and what is the plan for next day. Let me just assure the texter there that you don't plan openly, you don't go give individual strategy. So You have to go, is a process, and things will happen. So as we go, we'll unfold the plan. So never mind. You'll take your time, be patient, because when the government gave themselves the 40% increase, they did it in one day, and next day all 3,000 civil public servants went back to work. I'm just saying that to say that we ourselves have to be responsible for our own actions as well. We have been doing this as a group, collaborative effort, and we must support this effort. What we are here to do is to promote this event and to ensure that we give Dominicans the confidence that things are happening, because every time people ask, what are you all doing? No, we are doing something. We expect the general support of the public. And so, yes, you are concerned about what next, but you will know what next. Subsequently, we will have to say what is next, but we don't plan on radio, or we don't just say anything openly. But for now, let us encourage people to come out, and we expect a large crowd tomorrow. The response of the people will actually send a definite message to the government. So that's why we are here tonight in studios, and that is why we are putting our energies into it, because planning takes a lot. And you must support planning, and you must support the work that the ERC does with the other groups. So it is very important that we continue to support. And as we say, some of you may not be able to give monetarily, but we expect your prayers. We expect you to pray for the team, the strength, and but more importantly, we have bills to pay. And so I'm sure if you have $10 and you take out $1 or $2, somebody tell you we have $1,000 and you can put $50 what to buy what message. I don't know what the person going with that, but I'm sure we are generous here. $2 from $10 is reasonable, I'm sure. But those that can give more, obviously, will expect more. And as you said earlier on, even $1 million we will accept.
Yes. And in any case, I said earlier on, to sustain the movement,
That's correct.
people have to be involved.
People have to be involved.
We must guide people properly, and we must guide them to succeed. And you can't fight all battle in one battle.
You only can't fight in one.
You have to choose your battle. You have to fight a battle, resolve it, and move to the next. And we are saying we want to resolve the electoral reform issue.
Yeah.
And therefore, we're fighting that battle. And you rightly said so. You don't plan your strategy already.
No, you don't plan it.
Because your opponents will chop your wings, and then you can't fly. So what we have to do is to see that the people are behind us. And you made a point earlier on that, and I'm going to bring the two together, the sustaining the movement, right, and your support, right, to the movement to continue to succeed.
Right.
We were in Granby some time ago discussing reform with the Granby people, and that same morning of that Sunday, the Prime Minister found himself in Granby sharing. So we gave him work to do.
Thank you very much.
Now we're coming on the arch there, and he's in Roseau and other places sharing. So work to do.
Work to do.
So the more we do that, the more money is spent. Yeah. And in that case, we have some very powerful talent in Dominica, talent in music, in Kadas, in Calypso. Even in our politics, we have talent.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's some who bring in their bad habits. And we want to alert them that they must repent of their bad habits and put the habit of serving,
that's correct,
in front of them. So I'm going to play a Calypso there. I'm sure many of you will enjoy.
Right.
Greetings, Mr. Abdullah. Salam alaikum. I'm singing to make you aware. Things are bad. The local treasury down here is empty, and you in charge of our treasury overseas. Over 6 billion and counting, and we the people down here scrunting. Never in our life before, in our Dominica, All our wealth offshore and our people so poor. We facing a crisis here, so I bypassing leader. We suspect you don't like him anymore. Bring money, Mr. Abdullah. Bring money. Everybody, yeah, bring money. You know to a free. Bring money. From our treasury overseas. Bring money. The man never see come see. With all the country money. Buying election and building mansion. Now we going after credit union. You see? What do we say for the money?
In fact, I played this song for a friend of mine overseas, and he said one that hit him like a bomb, you know. Hit him like a bomb. You think we're getting a call? No, you don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Like a bomb.
Like a bomb, you feel like a bomb, and so forth. To bring money.
Yeah.
And you made a point, interesting point, that you don't have to have $100,
No.
$200, or whatever you have.
Yes.
And sometimes a person might feel a little, you know, cautious to say, well, I pledge $5 or $10. No. You know, Cassava have a song. Say, Gwendy, we got
play sack. Gwendy, we got
play sack.
Yeah.
And you know, so I'm feeling so good about this.
Yes.
What is coming to me like is our engagement, our collaboration, our togetherness, because we just came from a meeting, online meeting. So I left my home and get it myself here. You left your home and get it yourself here.
That's correct.
And Kent, it was at the same meeting, and he's on. So we are doing this. You know what I phrase this to be? Operation Restore Hope.
That's correct. No, that's correct.
Operation Restore Hope.
And you know, the others as well, right now they are planning, they still continue to do the work for tomorrow's event. So, you know, so it's a collaborative effort, and you can see the united front trying to push that agenda. And let me just say, if we were reactive or reacting, we can say, okay, you all are reacting to things, but we have been proactive. So the proactive in itself showing that we are consistent. So the consistency is demonstrated through our proactiveness. So it's not the first time we have been speaking about electoral reform, and Kent will agree because this has been a hot potato topic from the time, and it's not because, you know, what people don't understand, and I think tomorrow we'll have enough of information that people can understand, and I think we'll get more informed about the process of electoral reform. I think that's one of the major cornerstones of our democracy, elections, and we just cannot play with that. And electoral reform, when we speak about electoral reform, is not for the United Workers' Party, nor the Freedom Party, nor any other political party, not for the Labour Party. It's for everyone, you know. And you know, it's easier to concede when you know that you partake in a process that has been free and fair. And so it is not good that people think, you know, that we are coming out because we want to come out. No. It's good for everybody, a level playing field, and we have to address the issues that concern bringing free and fair elections to the people. Ken, I sure you subscribe to that as well.
Oh, definitely. You guys were a level playing field is the most fundamental thing. It's very, very important. It's not just about your party winning at any. It shouldn't be about your party winning at any cost, any way you want to. It should be a thing of dignity. I have a view. You have a view. This one has a view. We discuss it, we debate it, and that's where the civility comes in a civil way, and then the people decide which view is most convincing or which view they think has the better chance of leading the country to a certain place or to a better place or to greater prosperity. That's what it should be about. But for that to happen effectively, there has to be a level playing field. There has to be a process where people can cast their votes in a free manner and in a manner that is very fair. And that is what electoral reform is all about. Because the process has been, and mark you, when you have honorable people, they stick to the spirit of the law. So even if there were some loopholes, but if you're honorable and you understand the intention of the law, you would do the honorable thing. So even when we had the very same law, we did it well because we had honorable people. Right?
You get it.
We had honorable people. But then when you had a whole set of dishonorable people, and it's an irony that we call some of them honorable this and honorable that, when they are really not. But for protocol, I guess we use those words. But when you enter into the picture, dishonorable people, then what you have is the breaking of the law in many cases, the exploitation of loopholes, and the refusal to follow the letter and the spirit of the law. For instance, the list could have been cleaned all along, but wasn't. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Ken, go ahead.
yeah. So you're quite right. A level playing field is what we're calling for. And because we have had dishonorable people, we have now to tighten the legislation in such a way that there's no ambiguity, it's very clear. But what these guys want to do, they have heard that, but they don't want to do it. So rather than give electoral reform, and I like the term, it's not my term, somebody used it, I don't remember at what meeting, they're not giving us electoral reform. They are giving us electoral deform.
Right.
So they are legitimizing, they are putting into the law the unfair ways of winning. So whereas the unfair ways of winning was wrong, was criminal, such as bribery and so on, and people been out of Dominica for more than 5 years, but because the ambiguity of the law, in that once you're on the list and the deliberate effort not to clean the list, you see, is an exploitation of the loophole, so to speak, right? Because of that, we have now have to come and propose and to clean it, but the government is refusing to do it, but they want to do reform. So it's important to create that level playing field. But you guys were talking about restore hope earlier on, and I'm so happy, honestly, with the process before us, because it's really restoring hope. Not only hope that we can fix and change Dominica, but the level of cooperation I have seen over the last few weeks as we prepare for that from everyone, from the civic organizations, from the political parties, from the individuals. It has been tremendous, and it gives me a lot of hope that we can fix Dominica, that we can continue to work together, even beyond electoral reform, to fix this country. It's very important because Dominica can be fixed. So, also, you're right. Restore hope. I'm full of hope tonight, and everybody, let's take on that attitude. Restore hope, but we have to do what we need to do to restore that hope.
Yeah, we're running the ad again.
Yes, in a while. I'll just do it. Let me just see. One thing Ken said there in terms of you could give a good man a bad law, and he will administer things in the right way to benefit the people he represents, because he is people oriented, people's conscious development oriented. You give a bad man a good law,
Yeah.
and you find a way to exploit loopholes. So it would have been madness of us as a country, of lawyers, of doctors, of teachers, of policemen, of young people, bright young people, of accountants, of engineers, of economists, and all of that, to sit back and allow a government to legislate, to give itself the authority to exploit loopholes. All right? So would be a crazy people. And Maki, they saw us in the region as one of the brightest country in the Caribbean.
Right.
When it comes to PhD in agriculture, we had the most. I don't know call it because it's too much of names.
Too much, a lot.
But we provided PhD in agriculture for CDB in Trinidad, in many places. So people saw us as a people. In fact, even our primary health care, people came in on the study. I remember when Rosie died, we organized for his funeral. And when Compton died in St. Lucia, a team came from St. Lucia, to come down here to see how it was organized for Rosie's funeral.
Oh, yeah, is it?
They came down here to understudy what we did, because Rosie died in office as Prime Minister,
right,
as well as Pierre Charles,
right,
and then Compton died as Prime Minister.
Right.
So Ken, your point is so correct that it was Norman Manley who said, "Do not pass laws while you're in government that you cannot live under when you're in opposition."
When you're in opposition.
So this is what we're trying to avoid: bad laws.
And I'm glad you made the point, because just before we go to that break, I want people to equate just what I'm going to say with what we are now seeking to get from the government. You are in a work environment, or you work for a company, and what you are seeking to do is better work conditions, whether it's for a union or whether there's a good brigade. There's some areas are not, some places you don't have unions, so they're not unionized. But every time there's a meeting, then you go and you say, boy, the working conditions need to be improved. And why do you want that working condition to be improved? You want your output to improve as well. And if your output cannot be improved, it means that, or you do not put all into it because you know that you are incentivized in a sense. You are not getting the kind of support, really kind of remuneration sometimes in the work. So that's what you're fighting for. Think of it now that you're talking about electoral reform, a big thing, to choose the government that to govern you and to put the right policies in place so that you can be positively impacted or your life can be positively impacted. Think of it as that. Because when you fight for your rights at your workplace, you're fighting your right for betterment, for better working conditions, so you can get a better pay. So think of it now holistically and generally that we are fighting for electoral reform to bring a better life to you, more prosperity, and a better quality of life for you. So you must join the movement. You must support the movement. You must come to here. You must come to the gathering tomorrow. We expect you in large numbers. Come to here. No one can stop you. You have eyes to see what is happening. You have ears to hear. You can feel it, I'm sure, tonight. And as we speak, some of you are opening your fridges. And you're ashamed to close it back. Because if you close it too hard, the wind will hit somebody that's passing on the road because it's empty. We understand that too. But the point is, we're not saying things are going to get better overnight. But you have to understand that is what is governing you, that have you in most of the situation you are in. So you must understand you have to make change, and we must change the government. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. The only thing left for us now, the government has to change. But the point is, you must show as an individual that we have to do it together, and without doing it, you cannot do it alone. We have to come together, collective minds, bring collective change. Let us do it together, and let us rally for one goal, for one common purpose, and for one Dominica.
Let us all who are suffering in Dominica, who are broke, let us all who are under the gun of this government, this bad governance that we have seen in the country over the last 2 decades, let all of us assemble on Sunday afternoon at the Arch in Rose. Think of more than 1,000 young people going home at this time when things are so hard for families all around Dominica. What are you trying to do? You see, the government no longer understands the plight of poor people in this country, and it can afford to do that because it knows elections have consequences. And once it maintains control of the electoral process and it can do what it wants, then it can do what it wants with the electoral process. It can do what it wants with the people as well. Enough is enough. The people will gather Sunday to tell their story. Sunday at the Arch, 4 p.m., People's Parliament.
Yes, People's Parliament, and on Sunday. So we invite you to come out, bring your family, bring your friends, use your vehicle, carpool, give somebody a ride. Let's do it together. You know, one may say, well, we are here asking for support. We make an appeal to you. But the point is, you ought not to be ashamed for your small contribution. We're a grassroots movement. And of course, I said earlier on, it is Cassette who said, which is true, say, Gwen di week play sack, and so on. So we have to play our sack and shows that the people involved. It's not a matter where you vote as a spectator. So you are there looking, it's a game, and you're looking. No, it's something that is so important, so dear to your life. As Soso said, with bad governance, then as the Calypso said, Kaipul Kwaze. In that case, you have to be a participant in the process. And we're calling you to come out. And when you come out, and I heard somebody made a point on a radio station, dictators afraid crowd.
Yes, that's true.
Once they see crowd, I remember there was a demonstration in Roseau organized by the UWP.
Right.
And it passed a wrong ministry coming down.
Yeah.
And it was so massive that
a worker, you know.
Everybody belly was inside the cabinet.
And you
was boiling.
I heard a voice echoing from the financial center. But did they get a crowd with perhaps?
Yes.
But we finished with this time.
Yeah. You know,
yes, but they get people. Coffee mat, they get people. Right. You know? So that builds confidence.
Yeah, so the caller said, it was my maths program at in the morning, dictator spirit crowd.
Dictator spirit crowd.
And if you follow, you know a thing we should be saying, again the numbers 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-307, 449-3097. And of course, those of you overseas, 305-432-9624. So call us, make your pledge, small as it is, we'll accept, we'll appreciate it, we'll thank you for it, and it will help to defray the expenses that will come about tomorrow. But as we said, we're going to sustain the movement, and we need your support, those of you at home and abroad. There are some Dominicans abroad who recognize that we are a country of laws, and laws must protect our existence. And there are those who may just feel, well, we support a party just to put them there and turn our back. That is not the case. We love every Dominican at home and abroad. I have my children, 2 children overseas.
Wow.
I have brothers and sisters overseas.
Right.
I have cousins overseas.
Right.
So I have a lot of my, associates overseas and so on. And therefore, we have nothing against Dominicans overseas.
That's correct.
But we want to have the right thing done. So call us, make a contribution, go to the Nick Clift account and pledge to us here, to the effort here. Because those of us who are doing this are not doing it for a salary, are doing it for a contribution.
That's strictly voluntary.
In fact, we put our own money in it to get it to go. And so on. And the reason for it is because we love Dominica, we love our people, and we want betterment for our country. So that's where we are.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
by the way, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
I want to put something to you, yes. While we're talking about the electoral reform, you made a great point, but something came to mind. It's interesting that the Electoral Commission, it appears to me that they have abdicated their responsibility. Because as we speak, you do not have to wait for a draft legislation to be formalized and then to be sent for the government for them to pass it to Parliament. The existing legislation gives the Electoral Commission its work cut off for it already, which means that as we speak, they should be going about cleansing the list. They have a register of persons who have died, and they can liaise with the registry to know exactly persons who have died, confirm, go and do the investigation, and have the names struck off. As we speak, the existing legislation, it has not been omitted, So they have their work to do. We ourselves, to it incumbent on political parties as well, to make submissions of persons they feel that have been dead and they know they have the certificate of death to prove. And we have done so before, but to me, the Electoral Commission is a little bit tardy on that because we've submitted a lot of names in Roseau Central, for instance, for the past couple of years. And these names continue to reoccur in the existing list. So to me, I believe that the Electoral Commission, to some extent, must take some flack for not able to execute their work on a day-to-day basis, which, of course, they have that mandate under the law, the Electoral Law Act, to perform. So, Mr. Speaker, I think you can deliberate on that as well.
Yes, no, but certainly, from my reading of the existing laws, there are many things that could be done under the existing laws to improve the situation, to clean the list in particular and other areas, and it's not been done. So either they are tardy or maybe there's a deliberate effort not to do the right thing. So you're very, very right on that. And even so, when the attempt is been made and recommendations have been made how to even tighten it up further, how to put the good legislation in place to remove all the ambiguity, what do we see? We see a deliberate attempt to bastardize it. We see a deliberate attempt to legitimize unfairness. So they attempted that some time ago, and the people showed up and they withdrew. Byron came with some reasonable middle ground sets of recommendation. They have chucked it aside. Everything that is good for the country, they have chucked aside. And now they are proposing something to all the loopholes we're talking about. They're now going to make them into clear areas of their advantage, right? So it's unfortunate that we haven't had electoral commissions over the last few years that were prepared to do the job. And we know how the electoral commission is set up. 2 representatives on the commission on the government side, and we can expect that some of those representatives will obviously sing the government's tune. And I say we can expect that because we should be such honorable people that we shouldn't do that. But because when we are put on something like a commission, even if you're from a Labour Party or UWP, you should want what is fair. As a commissioner, even if you're appointed by a political party, you should come to the table with fairness, with an understanding of the role of elections. And then there are two representatives from the opposition side. Again, same thing can be said. You should come to the table with fairness. Now, the breaking vote, it should be that of the chairman. Now, the chairman is not appointed by the government, nor by the not from the government side, nor from the opposition side. It should come from the president. Now, the reason for that, the original shapers of the law, what they always envisaged was that you have a president that's above the petty party politics. That is what we have always had before until Charles Sabra came, right? Where we got in, and maybe we may be the only Caribbean island that have so messed up this role of the office of the president. Because in most Caribbean islands, in most countries in the Caribbean, as far as I know, I don't know any case where it has been so messed up. The person chosen as president has been somebody acceptable to the opposition as well as to the government. They have always attempted to take somebody, not that they never ever had a political allegiance, but that their reputation is such that by the time they are nominated or selected, there's agreement from both sides that yes, this is a fair person. This is a person that will not act just in the interests of the government or in the interest of the opposition. They'll be fair. That's the caliber of person that should be the president.
Right.
And if you have that kind of caliber of person as president, what you would expect is that the person that the president on his own volition appoints as chairman of the commission would be somebody that's fair. But that has been messed up and broken in Dominica. If we have had a fair person as a chairman over the last few years, maybe we would have solved the problems we have had. Maybe we would have, even under the existing laws, maybe they could have cleaned up a lot of it if it was fair. Or there would have been better or recommendations from the commission to the government as to how to go about cleaning this thing. So clearly we messed up the process of the appointment of a president. We no longer appoint, well, this government, I shouldn't say we because it's this government, no longer appoints a president that is above board, that is clearly so highly reputed among all the people in the nation that all sides, both sides, and civil society will say, yes, this is an acceptable person. And that is what is bedeviling us these days. We don't have the process of fairness in our system through the office of the president, and therefore the appointments by the president of persons on these commissions, his appointment can be counted as that of the government. So you have a 3-2 situation, so you will not get fairness out of the commission. But thankfully, we have a commission. Well, let me say thankfully, our two guys, even if they're in the minority, we are thankful for them because they seem to be representing the interests of the nation, the true interests of the nation. They seem to be representing what is true and fair, and they're fighting.
I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Somebody send me this calypso, and I know it's an appropriate calypso, and I'm going to play it. It doesn't get it.
If nobody to tell me what is going on in my country, oh, I can feel the confusion, insecurity and division. We don't have a solid economy. Only at 6% misery. Those interests don't come from no banana. Running on and left us to suffer right and the Christmas season. Fix the apples that were so in tongue. Day by day, Lord, we keep going down. For that is what we come. On your burn, the sun, your cocoa on the ground. Still waiting for the visions to come. And to make my that was look the apparatus, put up a percentage that's on that. So we keep going down on the road to Sodom, and the whole country keep going down slowly. Just look at NBC, another industry, it's going down slowly.
I, I'm sure that many of you saw the England election because those days, I mean, you're in your living room and you see what happened in countries we thought of in the past. We're far away, but just switch on your television set, your cell phone, and you see all of these things. And the Conservative Party, which is a very well received political party in England, they have been in government for over 14 years.
Right.
Right? They've been in government. The Labour have tried a couple of times and did not make it. And the people of England felt that the policies of the Conservatives this time are not benefiting them. Things are getting tough. They have all these issues with migration and all of that.
Mhm.
And on the 4th it was, that was today's what? Today's the 6th?
Yeah, it's
So
2
on
days ago.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
on Wednesday, they gave that was on Thursday, was the 4th, yes. They gave the Labour Party a landslide victory,
Right.
and so a landslide victory. And what I always enjoy with this kind of election and politics is the fact that when the returning officer is announcing the winner, she don't just come and say John Brown win and that's it,
No.
She announced everybody who contested and the amount of votes received.
Right.
And you see it come right on the technology, right on the screen.
Yeah,
there.
but right there.
And then the person with the majority of votes cast become the MP and is declared as the MP. And the person turn around and shake hands.
Right.
And so forth and things like that. I saw her. So when they announced a seat won by Labour, everybody clapped. They announced a seat won by
The Conservative.
Everybody clapped.
Yeah.
Jerry Corbyn was leader of Labour.
Right.
And then he was, removed as leader.
Right.
And
Kirstama
came in. But Jerry now, Kirstama decided they would have a person running.
Right.
But Jerry went independent and he won.
Right.
The Labour guy came a good second.
Yeah.
And everybody in the crowd applauded and they were happy.
Right.
So that's the kind of election we want. At the end of the day, whoever wins,
Yeah.
the loser can call and say, congratulations.
Right.
I wish you well,
Yeah.
and I'm available to work with you for the good of the constituency and
Yeah.
the country. But when you feel it is being stolen from you,
You don't have that appetite
you
to
don't
do
have
so.
that appetite to do so.
And you're correct. And even Mr. Sunak, who was the former Prime Minister of the UK, after conceding defeat, he actually congratulated the Labour Party. And and I know now he had congratulated the Labour Party and the Labour Party, yes. And interestingly, you could see in his speech, he already was outgoing, but he seemed to want a United Kingdom, a continuation of that, and the spirit of goodwill, and considered in a way that you could not even depend on seeing fraud. Somebody called me and he said during the last election, so why didn't you I said, consider what? I know what happened and what transpired. We made an election petition. We were one of the constituencies who put forward an election petition. We were not allowed to. The matter was not allowed to be ventilated through the courts. I am going to concede for something I know that wasn't good enough for the people. If I do that, I'll be condoning the wrong. So we have
That's
to get
right.
things corrected so that, as I said, if we have electoral reform on a level playing field, when people lose, they will have the appetite and the urge to say, look, I've conceded and I'm ready to vote for Dominica.
You want to fix that.
We're going to fix that. So that is the kind of spirit we want with that when we talk about electoral reform.
And in any case, so Kent will come in on that one. In any case, when the court send the matter back to lower courts, okay, rather of being a big man and go to court and answer your name, the
Right,
case,
right.
you know, they plot the case.
You know the prosecute.
You know the prosecute.
Say it has to go back to the court.
Yes,
You know the prosecute. What are you afraid of?
Go there and show I'm a big man.
What are you afraid
and I win squarely and so on.
Yeah,
Right? So this bad habit must come to an end. What do you say, Kent?
Yes, actually, in response to that, let me just read a paragraph of one of the letters we have sent out. It says, 10 petitions filed at the High Court following the 2019 polls were struck off by the sitting High Court judge. The decision by the High Court judge was upheld by the Appeals Court of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. The Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, upon its sitting on the matter, decided to uphold the decision of the Supreme Court judge and that of the Appeal Court. However, in its obit dictum, based on a quote from the July 2022 obit dictum, the court stated that Dominica should not go into another general election with the taints observed or similar taints in the island's electoral process. Just as a reminder that this is not just something that we are saying here, that others, and as high as the highest court in the Caribbean, have recognized what's wrong based on all what they had, although they couldn't make a decision on the matter because they didn't have the jurisdiction. They decided the matter was so grave, important enough for them to make a statement. And this is what they said. So we know this is not a political matter. That's what we kept saying. This is a matter of a level playing field, free and fair elections, and others are saying so. So yes, petitions have been filed. The court process have been frustrated. Rather than they have sought to frustrate the entire process, unfortunately. But it's time for Dominicans and for all of us to decide enough is enough. All of us, the police, the teachers, everyone. And so I am happy what you said. Obviously, we have a right as a people to express our dissatisfaction with what is wrong in our country. And we have a right as a people when we see wrongdoing from our government that we have to say, no, you cannot do that. All right? And I need the police to understand that people have that right. People have that right. And they too have that right. And they must be part of us who say, no, this is wrong. We have to correct this. And this is what this is all about. Because the whole process has been frustrated through the courts. They have bastardized everything. They have ensured that the Electoral Commission is one-sided. They have ensured that every institution in Dominica is compromised, even the court process. Right? It took the very highest court in the Caribbean to say something is wrong here, although they couldn't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So after going through all of that, we the people have to say now, no, we will do things responsibly and we will not wreck our country, but we will speak very loudly and all of us will raise our voices because as you said, boss, so let me repeat it. Whoever said it, I'm not, you were not, somebody you said dictators freight crowds. So we have to come out in large numbers. We have to send our message very, very clearly. And of course, if they still won't listen, there'll be other strategies we will pursue, but we will do so as responsible citizens who have a right to try to correct the wrong. You want to tell me somebody coming to your home and trying to break up into your home, you will sit down there and do nothing? Our homes have been wrecked by this government. Our country is our homes, right? Our home. It's been wrecked. Our process is no longer fair. It's right in our faces. What are we to do as a people? We will do what is morally right, of course. But we've got to fix this. So tomorrow is about showing our faces in large numbers to send a very resounding message, because we know dictators spread crowds. And we know dictators spread crowds, so we want to come out and show our faces. But obviously the aim is to ensure that they do the right thing, that they react to that crowd, they act to what we're going to send to them, and they fix it. If they do not fix it, obviously there are other strategies we'll have to implement. It's obvious we'll have to think of other strategies, but we hope they are not foolish enough to not listen to tomorrow. They must listen to the people tomorrow.
Yes.
Yep.
Good.
Yes, you're correct. And even flower pot dictators, Fredco.
Dominican, we need our electoral reform. Tell him, but for the cabinet, money can just go through.
I hope Simbad hearing
That's right.
and listening too.
Listening to.
You should perform your duty. How long before we get our reform? We have some election in the interest of one man. But like Egypt, the people need freedom. If you cannot deliver, then give us back our dollars, sir. Stay in your lane. We know you know our country, love to spend the money, sir. Stay in your lane. The people frustrated and tired. Dominicans have taken all they can take. Give us reform before the fall outbreak.
Sure, people looking at the US election, and the nominee of both sides, the Republican and Democratic Party, Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
That's right.
So a number of Americans do not want Donald Trump because they say him as a danger to America and its laws and its democracy. And he said whether jokingly or whatever, he said he'll be a dictator for one day, and Americans take that seriously. And there was the first debate with he and Biden came across that he did not have the energy to take on Trump. And Americans so concerned about losing to Trump, Democrats, and the number of independents, and even Republicans themselves are saying they supported Trump the last time, but this time around, they don't want Trump near the White House at all. You know what is going on now? Democrats, governors, and senators, they just had a meeting in Washington to meet with Biden to ask him to step aside.
Right.
You see how serious they take it, the politics?
Yeah.
Because they feel Biden don't have the energy
Right.
to muster the campaign against Trump. And fearing that Trump might win, they're asking Biden to step aside. And today I saw a poll that is showing that Trump would defeat Kamala Harris.
Oh, by far.
By far. But the poll showed that the person who would send Trump to the dump
is Miss Obama.
Is
Michelle
Obama.
Yeah.
And so on. So Americans are taking the polls seriously. And they're Dominicans who live in America,
Yeah.
And they still call here and feel what we have here is okay for us here.
And not that they're afraid of Trump. They want to make sure their democracy is being preserved. And so that's what they're fighting.
And their governance.
And their governance. So the point is he could be reckless. And that's a good point. And so that we can equate to what we are aspiring to achieve. But we should not even go that far. Let's just go back to one of our sister islands, heading of the West, St. Lucia. And, I've got friends there, and some of them have already told me that they're going to change the government. And St. Lucians for the past pre-election cycles, they have been going UWP, Labour, UWP. And this time around, they are going to certainly remove what is there right now, based on what I'm getting.
I'm following myself.
And based on what, certain next polls that they conducted. And the reason that is that St. Lucians have come to understand, look, we put you there as a government to serve the interests of the people. And once you cannot, and you know what they're saying? Don't tell me give you 5 years to do what you have to do, because you have had the experience already there, so you know what to do. So you don't have time to waste and give you time. You cannot do it outside. And that's what they do. And you know that's healthy for the democracy, because it shows that when you go in there, you have to serve the interests of the people. What this government has done and has been involved in, I think really you have to question the mindset of our people and ask them what it is that they want. Do we want to continue in this way? Because this government seem not to have any conscience about developing this country in the interest of the people. And it's so sad. But St. Kitts has done it, St. Lucia has done it, Grenada has done it. And so Dominica, or in fact Dominicans, we are waiting for you to change the government. We are just going to change the government. Let the time come to us to just change the government. And I suspect you might want to be on that too, because original man, and you do a lot of work in the region as well.
Definitely. But the point you make, just knowing for sure that a government, they know they will be thrown out if they don't do what is right. Just that in itself will cause them to do their best, right? But when you get to a point where you think people will vote you no matter what, just because they are part of your political, let me not use the word party, but they are part of your political gang. In other words, you know why I use the word gang? Because what I'm saying, people, let's get out of this gang mentality. Because what the gang mentality does is that, look, I know it's drugs you're pushing, I know you're doing the right thing, but you're giving me part of the money, so I go with that. We have to get out of the gang mentality in politics. It has to be that you have to serve, and if you don't serve, we kick you out. Maybe that's a harsh word, but we change. We find somebody else with a different view or different approach. Definitely, if you're corrupt, you're kicked out. But if you cannot deliver, and the people will make the judgment, because you said that that if the people, but sorry, anyway, I lose my train of thought a while ago. I was just distracted by something. But clearly, the people will make the judgment whether or not they want to keep you. If they decide that you need another 5 years, the people will make that judgment.
Yes.
But clearly, if you're not performing, the people should be able to take you up. But when you get into a comfortable position where people are voting for you no matter what, but worse than that, when you get in a position that you win no matter what, and you figure out you have so set yourself up that you will win no matter what, because you'll bring people in, you will bribe, you will cheat, you will do all of that. When you get in that comfortable position, then guess what? You will rule in your own self-interest, and and the country will not benefit. So that is what we have come to in Dominica, and we have to decide, no, that ends today, that stops now, that stops. We have to take that off. But clearly in the rest of the region, we have had good examples, as you said, so. I mean, I am amazed at a country like Jamaica, and also you always give the example of where Jamaica came from, the days of this political violence, and how they have done the reforms and the electoral reforms that they have done, the campaign finance reform. But even beyond the reforms, they have gotten to a point where they have created this Vision 2030 document. And this was done at a time when Portia Simpson Miller was there, but they had both parties, political parties, contributing to the long-term vision, understanding that, look, there are some long-term things that we can both agree on for the good of the country. And that has become a foundation document for Jamaica. As a result of that resolve to solve their problems, they were successful in beginning to turn Jamaica around. As a matter of fact, for a long time, they were having very negative growth or very, very low growth. Up until 2019, they have begun to, the growth is still a little low, but they have begun to show some positive movement. And in terms of employment, the employment dropped from about 15% at times, and it dropped to a very low of 7% by 2019 as they brought in new jobs and so on. But that's a testimony to the maturity that Jamaica have had, in terms of the electoral reform, and then in terms of the reforms and the greater cooperation in terms of the national affairs. So there are countries in the region that have had good success. And we have to emulate that, or we have to bring Dominica to the point where we say to our people, this is the kind of thing we want. Now, not all examples are good in the region, but clearly there are some countries that do not tolerate foolishness. Take a country like Barbados, similar to St. Lucia. We have had turns, they have had terms from one political party to another. And the people of Barbados don't just vote. They are very wise people. And if they do not think your policies make sense, they will vote you out. There will always be a few persons that vote strictly on political lines. But a lot of the people vote based using their mind and their common sense. And they say, look, what you're doing doesn't fit. It doesn't work. There is another party with better ideas, and we'll give them a chance. And that is part of the reason Barbados have done so well as a country. So you're quite right. There are countries that are good examples in the Caribbean, and that is where we want Dominica to go. And once you get that going, guess what happens? Development follows. That's what's happening in Jamaica. They are doing better. They have been doing better in the last few years since they have been able to fix this elections things and these other things that I mentioned. Barbados have had a history of doing well because they have had good governance. St. Lucia does a lot better than us. Guess why? That's part of the reason too, so.
Yes, and just as you say that, it comes to mind again that, and I know we call as you can call. In fact, one person by the way, let me just tell you, I read a text earlier and they say, well, look, I don't need to call this radio station to give my number and expose myself, but we will give our contribution at the rally. So people are saying that there too. So they know we got a lot of them, people want to know who to contribute, put pressure on them, call their family, and the vibes already. But as you're on that gang, let me just say too, while you talk about gang, there are gangs that are involved in good work, helping each other. There are gangs that equipping themselves with the necessary skill set to get employed.
Right.
And there are gangs that I sure will go into certain institutions and trying to get certified, whether they hold a certificate in certain skills and so. But one problem we have is the government has the biggest gang that do not want to support the gangs that are equipping themselves. So it's not the gang fault if they are idle, because the government is not making the enabling environment right for them. And so if you love your gang and you love your people, you're supposed to ensure that you provide work for them. What we've seen, we are not against foreigners because Dominicans are all over the globe working and contributing to national development wherever they are. But what I'm saying is that Hurricane Maria brought us an opportunity. And from the time we got struck by Hurricane Maria, this government is insistent on giving foreigners all of our jobs. And today, the very gangs they're talking about that may be idle, they are the ones causing them to be idle, because the point is, I'm telling you, most of those guys, most of them would have built their houses had they been occupied in constructive work over the 5-year period since the Hurricane Maria had struck this country. So the point is, the government is equally responsible for this kind of laissez-faire attitude that is happening in the country, because they yet to create the enabling environment, number one. They yet to incentivize the entrepreneurial sector, spirit. And as a result, young guys, young women are not able to harness and to the opportunities to convert their skills into making and creating wealth for themselves. So as we talk about the gang, we must remember too that the gangs have a lot of good purpose. They have vision. But just that, the government is supposed to have the necessary incentives to incentivize the sectors so that they themselves can improve their lives. The government has failed to do that. I'm talking about the Dominican government has failed to put the necessary incentives in place to get those guys moving forward.
Yes, so you're correct. You have positive gangs.
Yeah, of course.
Right? I mean, I raised in there a lot of people. I came in a guy told me that day, oh man, like it's from the concrete. I told my carry bananas. He laughed me as it for a joke.
Yeah.
But I did carry bananas, and we still have what you call kudme and all those kind of things.
Of course.
But when a gang is lazy,
have
no vision,
right,
have no appetite for goodness,
right,
and so on, that gang becomes so dangerous,
right,
that they even set Mongoose gang.
The Mongoose gang,
Mongoose gang, and so that
Yeah.
in a neighboring island of ours.
Yes, yes.
Mongoose gang,
That is very
and so
true.
forth. So,
Yeah.
so bad gangs with
Yeah.
selfish attitude create that because they see you now
Yeah.
not as a contributor to society, they see you as a threat to them.
Yeah. Ah.
So they don't want you to have their power
They don't have them.
because they were ordained by God to have power, and they're there,
They there.
and so on.
Yeah.
But the power that you have was given to you by the people, and the people must ensure that they get you to act responsibly. I mean, I followed the election in Jamaica, well, the whole region. And now in Jamaica, you have Mark Golden, who's the leader of the opposition.
Right.
It have come out recently that he have British citizenship, and he is vying for prime ministership.
Right.
Now, in the Jamaica law, it says that if you are a member of parliament, you could have dual citizenship, especially Commonwealth.
Right.
But if you are vying to be president, not president, I think governor general, or prime minister and so on, or even leader of the opposition, you must have strictly Jamaican citizenship.
Right.
And you have a British citizenship, but you never renounce it.
He never renounced it.
Okay?
Ah.
Because he was born in Jamaica, yes, but his father came to Jamaica as a British person and settled there. In fact, they said the father came to Jamaica on a boat with the Queen.
Right.
So I tell you how close he was, and so forth. So a lot of pressure on him.
Right.
And even people in the PNP are calling on him to do the honorable thing and talk the truth.
Based on the law.
Based on the law. And to resign and so on. So you don't uphold wrong and allow people to escape with wrong. Because when they escape with wrong, they become so dangerous.
But I'm sure in Jamaica they will not ask the holding guy to hold the guy to what does it say? To not surrender his passport. He has to do it.
He has to do it.
He has to do it. Not unlike in Dominica.
So people don't feel as if, well,
Yeah.
you're in government,
Yeah.
and therefore you have the right to exploit.
They have the right to exploit.
You're in the opposition, we will mess you up,
Right.
we'll frustrate you, we will harass you. No.
And
Because the very opposition today can be the government tomorrow. You see what happened in England?
Yeah.
The government that was there a few days ago now in the opposition. And
Yeah.
the opposition that was in opposition a few days ago,
Right.
they know. In fact, today, Starmer was announcing his cabinet.
In fact, he was at work. And remember, some time ago, when Donald Trump accused Obama of not being a U.S. citizen,
Right.
and then subsequent to that, Obama flashes his passport right on the screen for everybody to see. But we have people who say they don't have citizenship, yet they're renouncing what they don't have.
Yeah.
And the court will say, accept that. No, I mean, we're really in problem now. And like those are some of the questions that we are talking about with respect to trying to play with the Constitution. It is stipulated in our laws, electoral laws, that if you have dual citizenship, you should not participate. Clearly. And you say you didn't have it, you went to court, you ask me to not look and steal your passport to show the court that you really have dual citizenship. And then now a letter subsequent to that showing that you're renouncing. What are you renouncing if you don't have anything? I mean, come on, that's clear to see.
In fact, in 1980, they said Brian Allen was a citizen of Dominica.
Right.
And so forth. He had gone somewhere else. So,
that's correct.
and then Brian put a big certificate of his own on the back of his car.
Right.
So everyone
could see.
Wherever he could see.
No, we have been hiding and lying.
So somebody a few people sent me and said they don't have to call.
No, they don't have to call.
But they will come well organized to put it in the box and so on. So Blue better have a big box.
Yeah, because they say they're ready to put. They don't call him ready you at all.
So we haven't called Blue, but we know Blue so patriotic to what is right.
Yes.
We appointed Blue tonight as the coordinator in charge.
Oh, yes. And I suspect she in that. And
she in that.
I suspect.
And I saw she at home laughing, saying, yeah, the boss.
Yeah, the boss. What he said.
But I will certainly do my work.
Yeah. And when you appear in that box, with that nice smile, you must put something, yeah?
You know who Blue, to be honest with you,
Yes.
You know who Blue remind me of? Somehow, Mona
Piper.
She make up her mind to do a thing. She
go over. Rest in peace,
man. Yeah. We used to sell tickets for
Blue's a fighter.
For Freedom Party dinner. And Mona used to go at, even labor rights will say, I put 2 tickets away, give my money. And they would pay, You do not come, but the money there. So that is a very good spirit. And earlier on we say Operation Restore Hope.
Right.
So we are appealing to Dominicans. All of us must get involved in that movement
Yeah.
to restore hope in our country,
Right.
for young people. Too many young people go to school and college, and when they leave school and college, they have to migrate because
Right.
they can't get a job here and so on. Okay, so we know you're listening. We know you're there, and some of you have said they'll put their thing in the. Well, I was about to say the cookie jar.
Yeah, cookie jar.
Because
Yeah.
in our calypso business, the Mascam calypso thing,
Right.
we talk about cookie jar,
Right.
and people always put in the cookie jar. So
And look, somebody just text me and they tell me, well, you know, one thing will blow accountability will be.
oh yeah, solid.
Yeah. What you get it.
In fact, somebody called and the first thing we hear raising, somebody called and pledged $20. Right?
Yeah.
That is Tony.
Mhm.
And he said he'll send it. And so all of a sudden I got a phone call a few days after. And Lou said, I have a message for you at my home.
Yes.
So if you're in town, come and take it right away.
That's correct.
I said I was coming to a funeral, so I'll check you after.
That is correct.
And
Yeah.
I got it with no problem. Once I picked a pack of her house,
Right.
and I came out and showed the blue.
Yes.
She came out. She was, in fact, there was a program, Sports Rap.
Sport rap.
So this is the Sports Rap.
Yeah.
So she wanted to deal with me quickly and responsibly
Yes.
and go to her Sports Rap. And as I drive by vehicle going, I hear a voice talking to Loca.
Oh,
Sibo,
yes,
yes.
Sibo, yes.
So they have some committed people
Yeah.
for Dominica,
Yeah.
and you may not like their party, but I want to say to us, we're mature people enough to take on the message.
Right.
So then what we do, because we don't like the messenger,
Right.
we throw away the message, and later we say, if I didn't know, and so forth. So you don't have to like a person, but you have to stand for the truth.
Stand for the truth.
And that's what is important.
The truth. Mr. Vital.
Will set you free. Can the truth shall set you free?
Yes, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
After tomorrow, we might appoint you Speak of the host for 2 years. Make way for
Don't worry.
speaker.
I have another rule. Me and
But I know
about it.
I know you have a much bigger rule, than speaker.
You are important person. you
Yeah.
know. It doesn't mean because you are now designated speaker that you still, you know, I sure right now persons who are going to be in Mr. Kerr's Stammer's cabinet, some of them are surprised the position that they are going to hold because they were something else and then no, you know. So, and I was reading something, a lady who probably had gotten pregnant, I couldn't remember the name. I follow these news internationally, and she got pregnant very early, in her life, and 16, and was giving up hope. And I think she's deputy prime minister, and somehow she maybe had lost out on some, processes in the education system. But look at where she is today. Never give up hope, and aspire to come up. And today she's, I just can't remember her name.
But so
in these countries, there is people give a lot of stories, and they have,
So, but earlier on you said something that was that I've always considered. You said, I don't know if you remember, you said it, but development is hard.
Yes.
We're not trying to tell people things are easy. I have decided as someone who understands the region. I know the region very well, and I know development is very, very hard.
That's correct.
So I am not in the business of telling people it's easy to do this and easy to do that and just do that and just do this, because I know how difficult it is. But I will tell you what, it's even more difficult when you have bad governance.
Oh, yes.
10 times more difficult. And we can raise simple examples, We can compare, again, we go back to the region and we can compare St. Kitts to Dominica. We can compare St. Kitts and how they have used their CVI monies and how it's causing the economy to grow, and how when there was COVID, how they were able to overcome COVID a lot better than Dominica.
That's right.
Right? Now, when you have bad governance, even the little money you have, we should have had an airport a long time, international airport. No political party opposes an airport, international airport. But because of bad governance, our monies are not used well. I would dare say our monies are stolen. Right? And so even if a government were to just not be corrupt, that alone, even if they do nothing else, even if they pursue the same policies in terms of agriculture, whatever, just by not being corrupt. So in other words, if you built one road with $50 million and that helped farmers, but if you were not corrupt, for that same $50 million, you could have built 2 roads. Even if your policies otherwise didn't change, just by not being corrupt, it means twice as many farmers would have maybe benefited who are on the other road using the farm.
Can you say by being clean?
By being, sorry.
By being clean.
All right. If you right. So when a government is corrupt, you make development 10 times harder. Let me give you an example. We have, I had a discussion today with someone, and he said, boy, and the kind of discussion we're having, he said to me, but Ken, boy, this fellows never ask you to help them. Meaning the government. I said they won't. Because 2 things. They know for sure that I will not condone wrongdoing and evil and cheating and stealing. And what they want around them are people who condone those things.
Right.
So that alone means they won't be approaching people. It wasn't just me. He mentioned a couple others, you and these other people, because he recognized you guys you understand development, you understand what it takes to move the country forward. But
That's
just as
right.
would ask you, but no, they won't, because they're corrupt. They want corrupt people. They're interested in their own well-being, and that is unfortunate. So you don't even get the right people. There are so many, and we had and so you were there. We had this conference, economic conference.
That's right.
Right. And we saw how there are so many skilled Dominicans. So while we are saying development is hard, but to overcome it, you have to have good brains and good thinking and people with experience. There are so many Dominicans out there with experience, with good experience, that a good government would be seeking those out and seeking out those skills. Not everybody can come back home, but there are some we could, but a bad government doesn't. Because a lot of these people who are good, they will not engage in corrupt behavior. And what a bad government wants is people who will support their bad behavior. Take 90% and give the country back 10%. That's what a bad government wants. So clearly, while development is hard, it's a lot harder, 10 times harder, when you have corruption in government. But that is why, as a people, we have to change. We have to ensure that this changes, that we get good governance in place, that we have the kinds of reforms that will cause us to bring in people with good ideas. So it's difficult, but good ideas will make a whole lot difference. No, I'm not saying it's impossible. I will never use that word, but creative people. I happen to think that there is a lot we can do to move Dominica forward. And there are many intelligent Dominicans who also understand that. So if we can bring good governance together with good thinking, I am pretty sure Dominica can do a lot better.
And you're so correct, because the Economic Front Conference, when I reflected upon what transpired, I mean, it's amazing that Dominica has that rich, that rich sort of professionals all over the place, and people of diverse backgrounds. And most of the presenters, they whether they reside here or they work overseas, they are Dominican. They are Dominicans who presented, and that's the kind of wealth of knowledge we have. And it's amazing that this government talk about consultation, even pre-budget consultations they have been talking about, and they have never seek to engage the Dominican diaspora in any pre-budget consultation, because and it's hurting, it's heart wrenching, and these people did that for free. And the wealth of knowledge that Dominicans have, wherever they are in their field and helping other countries grow, I can imagine if we harness the skills of these people, and at least not all, but put some of what can be done here to enhance and to upgrade a better Dominica. If we just and put some of that, we'll be good to go, my brother.
Yes, that's
good
to go.
Will you be there to stand Sunday, July 7th, 4 p.m., when they went
and took salary increases for themselves. They were not concerned about the thousands of public officers who they gave nothing at all, while the Prime Minister took a 50% increase in salary, and he gave his ministers 28% increase salary. Only they needed salary adjustments so that they could cope with the circumstances that they have visited on the people of Dominica. They're responsible for the economy and the suffering of the people. They take care of themselves from the people's money, and they leave the people without. And the people are afraid, say what? They're afraid to come out and show that they are disgusted. Well, the people must understand what happens elsewhere in the world. When people are oppressed, when people are unfairly treated, as they are being unfairly treated in Dominica, when the people's rights are being set aside, the democratic rights are being set aside, when the right to elect a government is being taken away from them, the government by their majority votes is being taken away from them. They have to stand. They have to stand, or else the oppression will continue.
Sunday, stand for your rights. The Arch in Roseau, the People's Parliament, 4 p.m.
Reform, before reform, we say. The people know of who was brigade. May 29 and blood that was shed. So if you don't deliver for what we pay, guy cool party.
Okay, again to say that Dominica is a blessed country with a lot of professionals here, good people here who should take interest in their country, in this country's development, and of course to let their voices be heard. And we cannot have a country where a few people are like starring in the place, cowboy at large, and then the country goes to the dogs and nothing happened to uplift people. People are living in droves. I mean, a very interesting thing, you also see a lot of Haitians around the place, you know, selling and doing things. A lot of them have gone.
They have gone.
It tells you that things are not right in this country. And we want it right. We want to be able to create jobs that you could pay for your house, you could have your title, you could live well in your country and do what is right for you and for your country. So I'm getting a call there, but my phone is attached to this. So
Yes. So you know, it's amazing. And when I look at the way that the government approaches development in this country, it amazes me. And let me tell you, there's a project going up right now at Providence. I understood that it could be a former minister's project that is going on. I don't know how true that is. But I happened to visit this area, and I saw a bridge being constructed or has been constructed on that property. And I will tell you, if you go around Dominica, you may not see a quality bridge as that bridge which is constructed on a project. And that's a private project going on. And I don't know if the person involved in selling passports or not. But I know that we still have some Bailey bridges somewhere else in some locations. And it amazes me that people are involved in passport selling can be doing better than the state. It always amazes me because I cannot understand how good quality work can be going on people's personal property. When come for the state to do some construction, most times you have hiccups, you have bottlenecks, cash flow have a problem, but cash flow, there's no cash flow problem for those private projects. And I really want to know what is government's priority. And so I say this to say that, you know, you go around and you see the state of some playing fields. These playing fields are maintained by government, but these playing fields are not properly maintained because they are cash strapped. There's no money to maintain some of them. Why is it that those who are involved in selling passports, they can buy properties all over the place? And when you go and look at the quality of their projects, why is that most of their projects surpasses that of government? Mr. Vital, I know you're an economist, you've been around the region, you're involved in a lot of work consultancy, and you've worked with many governments, right? And you see, you in some cases, you advise. But development to me for the people is paramount because you need the people to develop a country, and if you forget them, then you know what is going to happen. And there is not that symbiotic relationship between the government and its people because the people are left without anything. In fact, they don't have any share of the pie. Mr. Vital, can you please tell me why this is the case? I mean, I just gave you an example or some examples of what has been observed. What is the problem? You are muted? Is mic not?
Yes, yes, yes. My mic was
Okay.
muted. Sorry about that.
Okay, good.
They say, as we have been saying, it looks like our government, the government in Dominica, is about doing working for themselves, not for the people. So when they work for themselves, they of the country's resources, and I say of the country resources because if you take something like the CBI, okay, it's the country's resources. If you use the people's passports, and those are used to attract cities and persons to invest in return for having a passport, then it's the country's resources. Now, it's a legitimate thing to use some of those resources to develop private, well, not private, but to develop tourism businesses and other businesses. But in doing so, the general aim should be that it contributes to the development of the people. Now, there's part of the programs that should result in the government having resources that it can apply to its own infrastructure. So I see what you're saying. You cannot use some of those resources to address some of our infrastructure challenges, but yet you are seeing some of these resources being used in private projects to address some of the similar type of infrastructure. All right. So it's unfortunate because what it seems to be is that there is a greater priority and focus on personal enrichment, on creating an oligarch, on ensuring that a certain class, a certain group of persons have access to resources. And we can never forget how our government was characterized. Every time I speak to people and they doubt what's going on in Dominica, I only have to use one example to say to them what was going on. One characterization on the program on Al Jazeera when they were talking about how corrupt our government is, because we always say all governments are corrupt. And this guy on that program was saying, look, he have seen corruption everywhere. But the corruption he have seen is where these guys who are corrupt take 10% for themselves. They make deals on behalf of government, maybe get a 10% cut, but they give the country 90%. And they were saying in the case of Dominica, it's the opposite. When these guys make deals, they want 90% for themselves and 10% for the country. Now, when you do that, what do you expect? You expect no airport for our country, or very, very late. If it ever happens, you expect no proper bridges. You expect continue to build bridges in some areas. You expect they do a half road and 2 years later, I'm talking about the Layu Road, they're not able to complete the rest of it and ease the plight of farmers and commuters. So there's no priority because only 10% is used for the country. Yeah. And the 90% is used by the private. So what do you expect? You expect big, nice private houses or hotels, but little development for the people. So that is what has happened, unfortunately. But in a country where there is proper governance, where there is good governance, and there are some examples, even in the Caribbean, you find that government pay attention to infrastructure because they understand the infrastructure is important for the overall development of the country, as well as for the benefit of the people. Yes. You go to Barbados, you see good infrastructure. You go to St. Kitts, you see good infrastructure, and they use the resources, and that good infrastructure benefits the people, benefits agriculture, benefits tourism, benefits all. So, but we do not have good governance in Dominica. We have governance by our government for a few, and they give the rest of us peanuts. And people are put in a position where they don't think much better can be done. What a lie. They have convinced some of our people that Dominica is doing well. That's one of the biggest lies I've ever heard. Dominica is not doing as well as other countries, even in the Caribbean. I mean,
Yes,
So it's unfortunate, but I know we're limited time.
Yeah,
Also.
yeah.
Yeah, closing remarks.
Time is
Have
eating us
closing
up.
remarks.
Time is
Yeah.
eating us up. I think we had a wonderful night tonight. We just want to say to you, listeners here, that tomorrow is the day, 7th of July, 2024, will be the Arch in Roseau. As we said earlier on, permission and everything is arranged. That is fantastic. Sound system will be there. We'll have a DJ there. We'll have persons lined up to speak on the question of reform. We'll have Ken Vital chairing the proceedings. We'll have a presentation made to the people on what we consider as the people's electoral legislation. They will approve, and as Susu said earlier on, we'll go and do the committee stage of it. Yes. And then we will then arrange to present it to the appropriate authorities. And as we said earlier on, the struggle is a continuous struggle. We see that it is something we want to sustain, and to do so, we need your support, we need your understanding, and we need your appreciation, because it is not easy work. We're in a country where the government has made life for the people so miserable that the people have to be fearful of standing for their rights. But with a God above and with truth on our side, we shall prevail. So, gentlemen, we are ending tonight. This is what we call the eve of our parliament tomorrow. So, again, a big appeal to Dominicans in Dominica to come out. And those of you with your vehicle, give someone a ride. Make an effort to come. Those of you with buses, if your passage is passage from your point is $10, then work with the people. You could reduce to $5, so people can pay you $5 and get there. We do not have the luxury of saying hop a bus and come. And the politics we are involved in and what we're involved in is, of course, to facilitate our country to be in the right place. So again, we are about to leave.
Yes, just to say, yes, come out in large numbers, and we have to maintain the policy of friends with all, enemy to none.
Yes. And Kent, of course, we're saying that people, is a peaceful meeting tomorrow, peaceful parliament, and so forth. And we're saying to people to come out there and let us be united, let us be supportive to each other, let us care for each other, and let's do what is right. And of course, we said earlier on, we will not be part of any wrongdoing and misbehavior. And we appreciate the police who will be there to divert the traffic and provide some security.
Yes.
Ken.
Indeed, thanks to the police. Thanks to the police for coming out tomorrow. We appreciate that. And those of them who will not be on duty, we ask that you show up as part of the rally. You show up and come and be counted, and everyone else show up in large numbers. But just to go back to what we said earlier, from you and Bosso, and from Glenroy, hope. Restore hope. Operation Restore Hope. Let's keep hope alive. There is hope for Dominica. Let's not give up hope. As long as we have breath, as long as we have life, as long as we have children to ensure that we leave a country for, let's keep hope alive. But it's not just hope. We have to put action to it. And this action is ensuring that our voices are heard, that we make a loud statement by our presence. Let's start there. Well, we have started a long time, but let that be a monumental step in the process. So we look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow in large numbers.
So thank you, Kent, and thank you, Glenroy, Coffee, Soso for Roseau, and of course to our listeners in Dominica and abroad. We thank you for tuning in. And this radio station, the big station, has a big heart. And always give everyone a voice, an opportunity. In fact, today, earlier in the week, somebody was saying, when people have certain challenges, Q organize and assist them in raising funds.
To
get their thing going. God bless this radio station. Bless the management and staff of this radio station. Keep it alive, keep it well, and of course, give it the power to maintain an open voice for democracy in our land. And together as a people, let us, we may not want to like the messenger, but let us not throw away the message, because the message is important. Like you have your child in your home, and if you see wrongdoing and you condole the wrongdoing, then that child grow up to be a very troubled person. And to avoid that, you have to watch what is going on and correct as early as possible. So your government is doing bad, tell them so.
That's right.
And come out and show them that you are displeased with what they're doing. That's the only way we can get government to focus on what is right. Just take, for example, in St. Vincent, you have what they call another world boss, but the Vincentian people never give them all the seats. The election before they had a one-seat majority, election recently, and the last time they had election there, they have a two-seat majority. So they will hold them on their feet.
Right.
And so on. And Dominica people come and say, we went all seats. With their clapping as if it is a joke.
It's a joke.
So thank you. Good night. Sleep well. Have a good night rest tonight. Get up healthy tomorrow, God's willing. Say your prayers. Go to church. Have a nice lunch and find yourself on the arch. We'll appreciate that. You too will appreciate that. God bless you and all the best. Good night.
Yes.
We'll show you a little karma there from a very good Calypsonian, Bob.
It's the story of your karma. Reports for duty.
Because God is so silent, man taking full advantage. So now and then examples are sent to emphasize this message. As a man's soul shall he reap, whether or not he believes in it. Nobody can protect you when karma comes back to get you. All man tries to do it wrong, abuse his power and his position, until his karma comes around. Big man like Adam, Chavez and Gaddafi, just be begging for mercy. Hey, hey, rock 'em like a baby. So all those who think they have power now,
Yes, don't forget, we gave you our numbers. Please call us, make a contribution, and put in your diary somewhere the Nincliffe website that you can go to there and contribute to www.nincliffe.org. And as we said, not because tomorrow might gone to stop. We need you to help us to sustain this movement and make it a movement of success and a movement of change for Dominica and for you. Thank you again, and good night.
when you using your position to keep another person down, victimizing your fellow man just to please a politician. When you steal in your neighbor's things, you don't plant it, but you harvest it. You wondering how come you're stuck. It's karma and not bad luck. When you maintain your position by supporting what is wrong, you will make money and you will profit. But in the end, you can't go with it. Can't go with it. Now you're wondering, was it all worth it? So when you do it, people think karma coming. And you thinking you escaping karma coming. You win your case with the best lawyer, karma coming. No, for sure, it is not over, karma coming. Karma comes to kings, even the Lord of men is not just this thing. No one is exempt, so when a police officer brutalizing a protester, the day he take off that uniform that protected him, guess what? Karma coming. Boom, boom, boom.